Imagine having to use 5 of the largest bullets ever created to take down the largest mammal that walks this earth. In George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant, which he wrote in 1936 and was published in a journal called Literary Magazine's New Writings, Orwell does just this. In this writing, Orwell details his internal struggle of being a British officer in a foreign country. As you can see in the presentation, Orwell looked very different than the people that he so-called protected. This caused him great harassment from the natives, which he grew to resent. Orwell uses the story of him killing an elephant to describe his internal struggle. The passage opens with Orwell describing how he despises imperialism. As he is discussing how he despises imperialism, he starts to talk about his dislike for the natives. About a quarter of the way through the story, after he is done talking about his dislike, Orwell brings up the story of the rampaging elephant. Orwell, however, did not want to kill the elephant. He wanted to wait until the owner got home, but due to the harassment he thought he would receive from the natives, he killed the elephant. Orwell wanted to detail how conflicted he was as a British officer in an occupied country. He hated his job, but also had a severe dislike for the people that he protected. Discovering a rampaging elephant was a culmination of this internal struggle. He blamed the two things he hated the most, imperialism and the natives, for killing the elephant. If it was not for the imperialism, he thought he would never be in the place of killing an elephant. If it wasn't for the harassment he thought he would face from the natives, he would not have killed the elephant. There is one similarity from this text that I can relate to. While most countries are not colonizing anymore or have imperialistic values, I agree with Orwell about how bad this situation is. Colonization is an evil process in this world and mainly done to strip resources from less advanced countries of their wealth. Colonization has caused the death of millions of people throughout history and is a terrible system. History has shown us how bad it can really be. The conquest of Africa in the 19th century saw an entire continent exploited and the death of millions. The use of language is very different in George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant. The passage was written in 1936 by a native British man who had lived in India for most of his life. The words used are very different, and the vocabulary used to describe things are unlike what is used today. The passage, however, is heavily connotative, especially while discussing imperialism and the natives. His dislike is made very clear by the connotation used. He refers to the way the natives look at him and the way they look several times. He refers to the natives as having sneering yellow faces. Orwell wrote this piece from the worldview of a young man in a foreign country. He is clearly confused. He's clearly a confused person, and he does not know what to do. Orwell has a very different worldview than I do. I've lived in the same house my whole life, and I have a native in my own country. He experienced life way different than I have and ever will. I would not change much, if anything, from this reading. The reading is a personal story about a man who was going through extreme conflict. Every word chosen and the way it was put together was chosen by Orwell, and I would not want to change this piece. In George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant, we learned about a British officer in an occupied country who was very confused about his own life. Orwell did not like how his country was so imperialistic, but his dislike for imperialism was probably only bested by his dislike for the natives that he protected. He was in constant internal conflict, and one day was faced with shooting one of the most majestic and largest mammal to walk this earth. He used the story of him shooting an elephant to describe his internal conflict. If I could ask George Orwell a few questions, I would ask him why he cared so much about what the natives thought if he despised them, and why he did not wait at least a little bit for the owner of the elephant to get back, if that was his plan the whole time. I also would like to know why if he hated imperialism so much, why was he a British officer in a foreign country? Thank you.